And welcome everybody to our, what are we calling it this year? Fall foliage Zoom workshop. Autumn leaves, uh, jewels of fall, whatever you want to call it. Colorful leaves is what we're working on today. And it is a beautiful fall day here in upstate New York. And we hope that you all found some cool, colorful leaves to draw. The way our workshops work is we're going to do a quick slideshow at the beginning, and then Sam and I'm Vern, by the way. Hello, my name's Vern. Sam, um, we will be your instructors today, and we'll show a slideshow, and then we'll do some demonstrations on our desks here. And you're welcome to ask questions as we go along. We're happy to answer questions as we go or demonstrate particular things as we go along. We'll probably take a break about halfway through. We are welcome to continue drawing, but sometimes you need a little bio break, a little snack break, and that's what we'll do about halfway through. We will Zoom until about 7 p.m. That's 4 hours from now. And yeah, we will try to get a few leaves done in a few different colors and shapes to try to give you all something to work with. And our class on Thursday, the 23rd, did we decide that was the 23rd?
Yes. Yes.
We will meet again for about 2 hours, and during that class, we will look at some of the leaves that everyone did and give some constructive feedback, have a little art share, and see what everyone did. And then maybe if there's time at the end, do some more demonstrations if it seems helpful to you all. So we're here for you. Ask us questions as we go, and let's get right into it. You want to say anything, Sam?
No, I think you did a great job.
Thanks. We'll probably, just a heads up, we do like it when you're not asking questions, if you'll mute yourself. That way the recording doesn't have any background noise in it. You do have access to this recording indefinitely. So if you have something you want to watch later, you can always come back and check it out. And we will begin with our quick slideshow. We just like to have a few announcements at the beginning of these classes, just to let you know we've got other workshops coming up. These ones are all in person. We've got one on Halloween weekend up here in New York at the Ashokan Center, which is going to be an extravaganza of botanical art and nature sketching with some incredible instructors. And then Pam is teaching a few in New Jersey, fall leaves and veggies, and then you can go to Spain with Sam next year in May.
Which actually we need to update because I think it's full and now it's just wait list. But often people do have to cancel. So if you want to come, email us to be put on the wait list.
Great. I'm so glad it filled up.
Yeah.
And then a couple more upcoming Zoom workshops that we're doing. We've got gourds and squash, and then one of our favorites toward the end of November, lichen and moss on winter branches. We love a branch. And this is a quick snapshot of the supplies that we like to use. This is pretty much what I've got on my desk right now, and we'll show you this a little more up close. But this is just here for you to reference if you need it. And then I dropped this image in there this morning of a demonstration of a leaf I did a little while ago, because it's nice to see the steps that I took to get to this place. So if you look here at the top, this is sort of where we're going to start today. Just a light pencil drawing of your leaf, get those edges in, get some of the veining in there. And I chose to put a yellow watercolor wash at the very bottom, just all over the whole thing, just to get a nice base coat in there. And then this was the second step where I started to add in some of the green. And then the third step, put a little red in there. And the fourth step, starting to add some more layers, get some more saturation. And then from there, I basically did the rest with colored pencil. I may have put a little more watercolor in here and there, but we'll look at that closely on in our demos, but this just kind of gives you an idea of the steps we're going to take here. We're going to start with watercolor to sort of get the clouds of color, right? If you've got a lot of different colors going on in your leaf, watercolor is a great way to lay down sort of a foundation or a base that gets those colors sometimes, you know, bleeding into each other or making sort of nebulous kind of blobby shapes. And then you can refine and sharpen and saturate with color pencil. So that's pretty much what we're going to be working on today. I'm going to put a link to this slideshow in the chat in case anyone wants to check it out.
And that's the slideshow we'll use to share our work together on Thursday too. And for those of you who are new, you'll just email us, you know, some pictures of your subject and your drawing. A couple hours, deadline is a couple hours before class on Thursday, so we can get it into a slideshow to use. But you'll have all that info in an email that comes later today with the links and the link to today's video.
And if anyone wants us to look at their work during class today, if you'll just drop it in that slideshow, we can look at it together. You know, if something comes up and you have a question, we're happy to look at it together with you. All right. Well, oh, you know what I would love to do?
To see what they have.
Yeah, I want to see what kind of leaves you guys have because that sort of informs which one I choose because I want something that will kind of help everybody out. So if you want to just sort of hold up a few of the things you brought to class, if you brought some leaves. Ooh, nice, Esther.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow, Georgia, look at that.
Oh, it's so pretty.
Oh, nice.
Nice, Katie.
Okay, Betsy, excellent. Oh, really nice range. Lots of range.
Cool. I love
Betty,
all the
good.
maples. Ooh, that one's nice too.
Oh, cool.
Nathan, cool.
Excellent.
All right, all right. Kind of a nice assortment of leaves here. That's great. Nice, Mimi. Okay.
I don't know whether you could see mine, but I was choosing, and it looks like exactly what you're planning to work on. When you got the undercolor changing to on the leaf, but in different spots.
Yeah.
And my dog went out there too, was that way. It's got a lot of greens coming to red. And how do we handle that? And I think already that that one piece you showed us with the 5 steps on it, it gives us a good idea of what we're doing.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Any other questions before we switch over to our demo cams?
I do. I have a
Yeah.
question.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I've been doing this for quite some time, and the leaves that I have collected this fall are quite challenging, of course, but in particular, like the veins.
Mhm.
So I've done it 2 or 3 different ways, and I want to know how you guys would suggest. And I've done the whole thing with yellow, and then come back in with the reddish whatever. I've done it so that I have not done anything where the yellow is, go for the red, and then do the yellow and let them blend together. Help, help.
The tricky part about the ones like that, right, is that the veins are lighter than the rest of the leaf, right?
Exactly.
And so with our materials, it's difficult to add light, right? We have to sort of preserve it with the white of the paper. So really it is going to be about kind of avoiding those areas with your red. Whether you choose to do yellow underneath or on top, you know, 6 of one, half dozen of the other, doesn't really matter. But I do think the important thing to remember is that it will be a little bit of like avoiding those areas a little bit.
And sometimes they bleed into each other.
They do.
Could also try a little bit of the cream resist trick with the polychromos. So we'll try that. We could try that for you too.
It's a good idea. Yeah.
Don't know that. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. I'll try to find one that kind of has that in it as well.
Yeah. And the people who are new, are you familiar with the Polychromos color pencils, or are you trying out, anyone trying them out for the first time today? Okay, great. Yeah, and newbies too, really feel free to unmute and ask us questions, or you can type them in the chat and one of us will try to glance over there, but
Yes, I'm using them for the first time.
Yeah.
okay.
I've never used them. I bought a set. This is them, right?
Yeah, it says
Galbrick
Polychromos.
Direct.
Yeah.
Yes, so those are that's the watercolor pencil, the one you're holding right now.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, I have the other ones too.
Okay, great.
we'll be using
Yeah, so if you're new, you just remember the hexagonal barrel is the watercolor
Yeah.
and the smooth is a color pencil.
Yes.
And the
That's
thing
the
that's
poly
different about
too.
these is that they're oil-based rather than wax.
Mm-hmm.
And so they allow us to build up layers of watercolor and color pencil in this lovely way. Whereas if you had a wax-based one, then it becomes a resist that you can't continue to layer on.
Okay.
You can do multiple layers of watercolor and color pencil, kind of depending on the paper that you're using. And when we use watercolor and the pencil, we like to use a hot press paper. I always forget it is a hot press, right?
Yes.
That is, a smoother texture, because the cold press rougher texture, is not as nice with the color pencil. You can't get as smooth of an effect.
Can I ask you a question about the paper quickly?
Yes.
So I do a lot of watercolor painting, but it's always been on cold press
Of
and
course.
not this kind of work. So I bought myself a piece of Arches cold press. One side is smoother than the other.
Yeah.
Which
So
side to use?
a traditional watercolorist would use the rougher side,
Mm-hmm.
and we use the smooth. Arches is made its size, so you can use either side of the paper. We use the smoother side.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Arch.
I just have a question about the watercolor. So I know on the supply list it says watercolors, but I know the last time I did a Zoom with you guys, it was mostly just watercolor pencils, right? Because the watercolor pencils are going to match the regular pencils.
Yeah, the only reason Wendy started off with these watercolor, I like to call them watercolor sticks so people don't get confused. The watercolor sticks and the polychromo color pencil is because it's very easy to match the colors.
Yeah.
So if you're kind of beginning, it kind of simplifies it for you. But you don't need these watercolor sticks. It's the same if you already have watercolor pans or tubes, you have similar colors and you can make the same colors. There's no need to get these if you already have other watercolors.
Okay, that was my question because I have all the colored pencils. I also do a lot of watercolor, but I don't spend a lot of time mixing the two. So I was
Yeah.
excited to sign up today because I'm gonna probably do most of my artwork during the week.
Okay, great.
But I definitely wanted to learn more about mixing the two of them.
Perfect. You're in the right place.
All right. So I've picked out, here we go, let me spotlight us here. I picked out an assortment of leaves from my giant pile that I collected this afternoon. I don't have any like you were talking about, Betty. Maybe, I think Sam might though, one with like lighter veins.
Yeah, one of mine on one side it does, so I can do that.
Yeah, mine are not quite looking like that yet, but I'm gonna pick a few different ones and try to show you guys a couple of different techniques here or different color mixings.
But I can start with something like this and then we'll move on to the,
Yeah.
okay.
All right, so I have my hot press paper. It's on the smooth side. And I'm gonna just sort of take a look at some of my leaves on this white background to see if any of them jump out at me as something that I'm really excited to draw. Also, if any of them jump out at you as something you'd like to see me draw, that makes it even easier to choose. But this is kind of what I'm working with right now. And I'm gonna start with something small just to get myself warmed up a little bit. I really do like this one. Something about it. I'll probably do that one too. I think these guys are my go-to right at the moment. What do you think?
Nice. Looks great.
All right, so step one, look at your leaves closely, and we're gonna try to determine what the like under color is, like the through color, the color that you see that happens kind of all throughout the leaf. And though it may seem like it's a couple of different things, like for example, this leaf here, you see it has a green area on this side. I think that that green is actually underneath everything, right? Like I think there's some of that green within this entire leaf. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna tint my red just a little bit to make it feel kind of unified as one piece. So I'm thinking about that. I'm also thinking about the shape of the leaf and how I'm going to capture that. Sharpen my pencil. So I got my graphite pencil here. It's an H graphite. I got it really sharp. And the first thing I'm going to do is do a graphite sketch of my leaf. And since we're just doing leaves, and mine are these sort of maple style leaves, they don't really have that traditional, well, I might have one. That kind of traditional leaf shape like this one. And if you've watched our videos about drawing leaves, you know we have a sort of a trick that we use about like a folded book, right? Where the two sides of the leaf are kind of folded a little bit, so you get a highlight on one side and a shadow on the other. For me today, I'm going to be thinking a little more about color and not worrying too much about that sort of, I don't want to say not worrying too much, but it's not really the same sort of vibe for me to get that 3D pillowy shape. It's more about getting the color, the edges nice and crisp. And then later, if I want it to look more three-dimensional, I can add something like this cast shadow to it to kind of give it a little more form. I mean, sure, I see a few highlights here, maybe one right there, maybe a little bit up in this tip up here. So I'll keep that in mind, but for me, this isn't really a 3D exercise as much as it is a color mixing exercise, right? I mean, I don't know, Sam, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to, you could draw a real quick little thumbnail and just show them how you're going to remind yourself where you are going to leave it a little lighter, because it will make it a more interesting drawing, I think.
So if my leaf looked like this, I can draw myself a little thumbnail sketch to keep just to the side of my drawing, just as a reminder. This is just regular sketch paper, drawing paper. And when the light shines on so I have a couple lights on so you can see what's going on in my studio here, but if I shine a light from the upper left down on this leaf right here, I'll probably get some highlights on this upper right side, and this side will be a little darker. Something like that. Just these little sketches to kind of remind you as you're going, because sometimes you do get lost in the color, right? We get a little bit, you know, I do too. I get so excited about mixing the color and getting it nice and saturated, and I forget to leave a highlight or add a shadow. So little thumbnail drawings like this really help as a little reminder.
Yeah, and on your multi-lobed one, Vern, it had just the way you had it lit, it kind of had, you know, some nice places where you'd have.
Yeah, I was gonna do one of those too.
Yeah.
So, like this one has sort of like 3 lobes. And what I was seeing before.
Yeah, it's got a couple ridges.
It's got like this little ridge here. It's got something going on up in this area up here.
Yeah.
So to remind myself, maybe I'll put a couple lines or these, I'm calling highlights, these little chunks.
Yeah.
This is where I would put highlights. And maybe there's a little one kind of like in that crease right there. So this just helps me remember as I go, where I might put those highlights. And often they do kind of coordinate with where the veins go. So giving myself a little map here of the major veins, the major highlights, and then what the heck, maybe like a little shadow or two. So maybe a shadow in there. Where
Yeah, and you
else?
have a little lighter to the left of that ridge too. Might not be a highlight, but it'll be a little lighter there. Yeah.
Maybe there's a little bit of a shadow on this little ridge too. I don't know, just a little pre-drawing map here just to get us thinking. And now when I get to my leaf, you could also consider, actually, before I go too far, consider taking your paper and if you want to draw more than one leaf, maybe lay a few out on the page and decide if you wanted to do, kind of like a composition, or if you just want to do one, that's totally fine. But just think about it, it'll determine the placement of your first drawing, right? If you want to do more than one on the same page, maybe you don't want to do it smack in the middle. Maybe you want to arrange things a little bit.
Yeah. And then one other thing we had talked about, Vern, is that sometimes it's helpful to light your leaf correctly. So like on mine right now, I'm actually holding my light so that it's coming from my left shoulder. So it's shiny down and my shadow is moving away. You guys are going to see multiple shadow because there's the light from my camera too. Let me see if I can put it. Okay, that's better. So, if I'm drawing with my right hand, I'm lighting from the left, it's coming from here, the shadow's going away, and it can be helpful to take a photo of this because as your leaf changes, your cast shadow could change a little bit, and it can be helpful just that you have a reference to see where that cast shadow is when you put it in, or just get your cast shadow in early because later on you can be a bit dismayed if you can't see it correctly anymore.
Yeah. All right, I kind of like mine something like this. And what I'm going to do, there's a few ways you can go about doing this first initial drawing. One would be you could take your ruler, see-through ruler, take some measurements of it, draw it right next to it. Another way, and this is not cheating, I've had people ask me this so many times, is it cheating? No, it's not. If you just give yourself a few key marks right on your paper, almost like you're tracing this leaf. I just like to mark a few places, like some of the points on it or something like that. And then when you pull it aside, you've got a few little marks to work from. Let me put this on white so I can see it better. And then once I have those, I like to draw leaves sort of as they grow, right? So if I start with the stem and send it up to where it meets the leaf, and then sort of continue that through with a vein, I'm almost like starting with the veins, like the skeleton of the thing. You don't have to do it this way. You can also start with the outer margins if you like. I find that sometimes if you have a leaf like this one with serrated edges, a lot of times the serrations kind of line up with some of the veins. So it can be helpful to just pay attention to that and try to get that looking the way that you want. All right, and then I'm gonna do just sort of the basic shape, and then I'll come back and do those ridges later. So I'm just doing like a line, a around the outer edge. And then meets there. And if anything doesn't look right, I can always use my ruler and measure. But this at least gets me sort of started. I don't know if you all can even see this yet, but I'm drawing very lightly. And you know what? I am going to measure because I think that's a good thing for us to learn how to do. So I have a really light graphite drawing. But I'm going to take my see-through ruler and I'm just going to take a few key measurements, right? Like maybe from this point to this point is about 6.8. And yeah, I'm pretty spot on with those 2 points. That's nice. That feels good. And then some other key measurements, just like from the tip down to where it connects to the stem. Also pretty good. Seems like my dots were working for me there. The one part that doesn't quite look right yet to me is down here. So I'm just gonna yeah, this part's a little funky. I find that sometimes because of my right-handedness, anything that's like on this side of something, or sometimes it's this side, just that sort of angle of the way that your wrist goes can be a little funny sometimes. So I always like to check myself. Okay, so once I have a basic outline, then I can come in and start to add some of these serrated edges. So now I'm really going to get in close and try to pay attention to where these little edges are. I'm kind of following that line I made that was straight, and now I'm adding these little serrated bits. I like to do serrations in the direction that they grow as well. Here, let me show you what I mean. Here, like on my sketch. So I've drawn this. This is like my direction. This is the direction I'm going. And then I'm sort of adding these little serrations like this. And then when I get to this one, so these are sort of going this way. No, these are going this way. And when I get up here, it can be really tempting to come down like that. But I actually think it looks more natural if you keep it going that same direction. Like they're both kind of moving in the same direction. Does that make sense? Like the way that you make these strokes looks a little more natural if you're going sort of toward the tips. Moving toward the tips rather than moving from the tip down toward the stem. It's like the direction of growth. Okay, maybe that was a little too much, but it does, I think, make them look a little more realistic when you do them that way. Sorry, I zoomed in a little much there. right, so now I've got a nice serrated outline. And I want to get those veins in there a little more prominently, and I want to get my stem drawn as well. What is that stem doing? Okay, get some veins in. I definitely want these major ones. And they're not straight. They kind of wiggle a little bit. And they go from this point here at the stem, and they're headed out toward this edge out here. So I'm really going to try to kind of keep an eye on my destination, which is that little point up there. Same with this one. It's going to go out to here. So I just kind of keep my eye on the prize as I'm drawing. And now I'm using my Mono Zero eraser just to erase any lines that I don't want right now. And I'm going to put in some of these secondary veins too. And if I don't know where they go, I can always use a ruler, right? So if I don't know where the branch happens, like where this branch off takes place, I can always measure, right? There's no reason to fret about where these go. You can always kind of check yourself, give yourself a little measurement. And again, kind of look at where the destination of the vein is, right? Like I have this one that goes out to here, right where these two serrations come together. So I'm kind of looking at that. It's like right here. And that vein comes out to there. And I'm always, when I draw veins, starting with the central column, like the stem. So following the pattern of growth. So I'm starting here at the stem. And when I get to a branching vein, I'll branch outward a little bit. And I'll come back to center, come up, branch out, come back to center. Even if I'm not drawing, even if I'm just hovering my pencil over the paper, I always want to come from this like central leaf highway, right? The major highway, and then branch off onto the little back roads. Drawing very lightly. It can be helpful at this point too, as you're studying your leaf this closely, to try to sort of find any like touchstones, like places where, like for example, on this leaf, I have this hole right here, or this little dot. This is something I can always come back to, right? It's a thing that I can easily find. And when I'm sort of lost in the veins and lost in the details, I can always kind of come back to this home base and be like, okay, I know where this is, right? So Try to find something if you can that can serve as like a, I don't know, like a grounding, like a touchstone, a place to come back to when you're feeling lost or overwhelmed or, you know, unsure.
Little home base.
Exactly, just a little home base. I'm gonna draw that in right now. There's just like a little dot right up there. And then there's one over here. There might be more than one, you know, like anything that you feel like you can come back and start with. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
And most of you know this, but both Vern and I are just drawing with an H pencil, which means hard, just so that it's light and it's easy to erase. We're going to dab it up a little bit with a kneaded eraser if we're doing a lighter leaf so that the graphite doesn't mix in with the color pencil and the watercolor. So we just use this light H pencil as a map, and then we'll abandon it. We don't ever do any shading with our graphite because it could just make mud too easily.
Yeah, I'll sort of show you if you have a light leaf that's yellow or green or something, and you get to this stage, like I'm sort of done with my graphite pencil now. I'm going to set it aside. But if I want to lift some of this graphite, I can take my kneaded eraser and sort of roll it into a little hot dog or whatever, little roll, and then just kind of pass it over my paper, sort of gently, and it will lift up some of that graphite. It's still there, I can still see it, but now it's not as heavy and it won't mix with my colors, especially yellow, Okay, so at this stage, I'm ready to put on my first coat of watercolor. So this is where I'm looking at that leaf again, and I'm trying to see what is the sort of through line color. What is the color that is happening all throughout this leaf? For mine, it's sort of this greenish color, because even though this is red, I do still see places where that green kind of pops through. So some of that is in there. And in fact, most of our leaves, right, started out as green, and they're slowly not producing that chlorophyll, but that color is still in there, kind of like within it. It sort of makes it like that green mixing with red makes this red happen. Something that can be handy to do, I'm going to bring this drawing back in, which is my step-by-step one. For this, I did a little color test here at the top of like, how am I going to go from red to yellow to green, and which colors am I going to use, right? So I had this leaf and I was like, I'm going to need all these colors. Which ones am I going to pick? So this was me sort of testing it out and choosing which colors. So I'm going to do that for this one as well. It's going to be different colors this time. I've got this greenish color, which maybe I could get by mixing something in this family of watercolor. This is, oh, let me use the one that you guys have. This is earth green yellowish, which is sort of a light green. Light yellow ochre, which is sort of a dirty yellow. And then maybe there's a little bit of this cadmium yellow lemon, which is sort of a bright green. So it's like a yellowy green. So these are my yellow greens. I'm going to test these all out, but I'm just pulling them out so you guys know what I've got here. And then in my reds, for watercolor, probably going to be somewhere in this family. This is Pale Geranium Lake, is my really bright saturated red. I've got a Venetian red if I need one that's a little more dirty or like terracotta. I have this one that's called Madder, which is like a deeper, almost pinky red. And then I have my red violet, which is maybe the big guns that I'm gonna save till later, but this is sort of a darker, deeper shadow red. So I think that with these colors here, I'm gonna be able to get pretty close to what I'm looking for. I might add in, now that I'm looking at it on my screen there, do I have? I think it's a little mini one. Hold on, I'm searching. Oh well, I can do it without it. But what's the one? Burnt ochre might also be handy. Okay. Oh, I also want to keep this in mind too, right? I have my little thumbnail sketch of where my highlights and shadows will go. So I just want you to know that I'm always looking at that as I go. So I pulled out my pencils. Now what I'm gonna do is use this watercolor palette. It's got kind of a rough surface to it, so it breaks up the pencil pigment into watercolor, basically. And I'm gonna start with my greens, my greenish yellows. And to do this, I can just take these pencils, scribble them directly on this palette, and it's like I have pan watercolors. Right, so now I've set the pencils aside because I've got what I needed, which is the pigment. And I can use it straight from here like it's a pan watercolor. So I'm gonna grab a brush, probably one that's not too small because I'm gonna be covering some big space here. And I'll start by just putting a little bit of water, just clean water. Yeah, you wanna see that. Just a little clean water over the whole surface of the leaf. This just activates the paper, gets it sort of ready to receive some pigment. And this helps it spread. All right, so now I've got clean water on there. Oh, and I didn't do what I said I was gonna do, which was mix up some colors over here on the side. I'm gonna do that right now. I'm gonna mix all three of these and see what it comes out with. And then I'll hold it right up next to the leaf. Sorry, we probably can't see that very well. But that gets me pretty close. It might be a little greener than I want, so I'll try to work more yellow in there. Okay. And I'm just gonna go over my whole leaf with this color. Because it's pretty light, you know, we may not even really see this by the end, but it helps me get started and it gives me a nice base coat. I am going to avoid that little hole a little bit, and maybe I'm going to look at my thumbnail sketch, and I'm going to leave a couple little spaces here that I don't put watercolor just to remind me that that's where I want a highlight to be. Go down here also.
It's nice to know that on your first layer, you do not have to be a perfectionist at all.
Mhm.
Like imperfections, blotchy stuff, dabbing, all of that builds the texture of your leaf. So you can really move just kind of quickly and get a bunch of color in there. You don't have to be fussy at all on this first layer.
All right, so I'm gonna let this dry. And while I let it dry, I'm gonna start on another leaf on the same page because why not?
And Vern, why don't I just show real quick how I'll do the resist before I put the watercolor on my first
Yeah, definitely.
section. Yeah, so if we're gonna do this watercolor, the resist technique with the polychromos, I'm gonna look at the color of the lighter vein, and I usually use white or ivory or cream for this. Every once in a while, the CAD yellow lemon, and I think I'm gonna, on this one, I'm gonna use the ivory. So I get it pretty sharp. And for those of you who are new to these pencils, we really like these hand crank pencil sharpeners because you can just get a really fine point tip on these pencils and get better results with a nice sharpener. This one's a Muji hand crank sharpener. If you have a Daiso near you, they make a knockoff of this for $4.50 that I find to be excellent, just so you know.
Nice.
Yeah. And also just one other tool. While I was drawing, I like these mono knock erasers by Tombow. Like Vern was using the one that's really tiny, these little mono zero erasers. I don't like to use this one till later because it's stiffer and can rough up your paper. This one's softer. So in the beginning, I just use the kneaded eraser and this knock eraser. Use this guy later when I need it for details. Okay, so I got my pencil sketch, and then I'm gonna look at where I see some light vein. Mine kind of is thicker towards the center point. It gets thinner as it gets out towards the tips. On mine, it's just lighter on the right-hand side. It's already started to dry and close up over here. So I'll do it one way on this side and a different way over there. But here, where I drew the pencil line, I'll just erase the little bit of graphite where I drew the connecting lines on top, those secondary veins. And same thing here. I'll just leave the bit of the pencil line underneath and just erase a little thin strip on the top. This one I'll just erase a little bit on the right side of the line. So I can still see my pencil line. And this will be a little hard to see, so it's nice to have that pencil that I can guide it. But I want a sharp tip. And on this one, I'm going to come from here and try to do a little lighter. I'm going to press lighter when I'm out here, and then I'm going to press harder where I get towards the center where it's thicker. And I'm pressing pretty hard because I kind of want to shove that. You won't be able to see it, but when I put something over it, you'll be able to see it. But I'm pressing hard, so it's almost like I'm trying to incise the paper a little bit and really shove the pigment of this oil in there so it'll resist just enough and be not too obvious, but just a little subtle. Most likely when you first do this, you'll overdo it and these will be too thick. And then that's just how you'll learn, you know, because if they're too thick, it's too obvious and weird and looks like not a vein, but something else. So as I'm viewing here, I see less of it. So I'm just going to let it trail off up here. And I'm just going to push and build a little more in, thicken it up as I get down here. On mine, it connects here. And this one also, this one, it goes all the way out to the end. I'm not going to go all the way out to the end though, because I can't get that thin with this pencil. So I can only use this trick where the vein is like, you know, kind of a thick pencil with thick or thicker. If it's too skinny, it'll look too weird. I'll show you how I'll deal with that later. And maybe I'll just do a little touch as they come off on these secondary ones, just at the top. And I think that's about it. Yeah, so that's putting that in there. Then I'm going to use just my permanent green olive sharpened Polychromos pencil, and I'm going to start putting in some of the gray of the veins that I see. I'm also going to use this Prismacolor very thin dark brown because I can make skinnier lines with this, and I'm going to put some of the skinnier ones on mine. It kind of turns from green to brown. So I'm going to do a little homework and set a little bit of that up before I put my watercolor on it, which you don't have to do. You'll see you could do it either way. You could do the watercolor, then this, or keep going back and forth, but I'm going to do a little homework with these first. And one other thing I wanted to show you guys that I like to do when I'm drawing, I find it nice to hover my pencil over my leaf and just move my hand in the direction of the center veins before I draw, even the stem, and it just gets the motion of where I'm going to draw. And then when I did my tracing, when I go out here to the edge, like say I'm tracing along here, then I hover my pencil above, and outside where the leaf is, I make a movement of where I would continue that vein. So when I go back to draw that center vein, I can pick up that movement and bring it in here. And I like to go from the center out and outside in to connect. So same thing up here where this little vein came here. I just put a mark on my paper like that I can erase later. And then when I go to draw, I can hover, move that in, come back here and connect. I find that to be a nice drawing trick. And then the other thing, when you have a curve or a little twist, you know, like here, I'm just observing that this vein curls around here. And if I follow with my eye, I can see that it moves here, it goes under, and the main vein then picks up through the middle. So if I draw that through, I'm going to have a nicer looking drawing than if I just try to draw that without imagining where that center vein connects through. And then I just erase these, I don't need them anymore, and then start in with my next tools. Back to you, Vern Fannin.
Oh gosh. Okay.
If you want. I mean, I can keep talking if you're.
I'm just drawing my other leaf. My watercolor isn't quite ready yet.
Okay.
On this one, I have a cool spot where the leaf is sort of decaying and you can just see the little veins. I'm kind of excited about that. But we're not there yet. All right, let's do some more watercolor on this guy. Okay, so now I think I can, I'm debating whether I want to get some of my shading in there real quick while I'm thinking about it. I think I will. I'm just gonna use some very lightly dark sepia. It's gonna be crazy. But I just want to get in a couple little important shadows just before I get too carried away. I have one in there, and then I said I had one maybe over on this side a little bit. Just doing this really lightly, so I don't forget. Okay. And I can put my watercolor right on top of this. And it's that sepia I just put down is regular colored pencil, Polychromos. So it's not going to be really affected by water. It's not going to get spread out. I think I'm going to put some red on here now. So I pulled out my red pencils and I'm just going to do the same thing I did with my yellows and greens and just sort of put them all down on my palette. And then try to get a good combination of them that's gonna match, you know, the general red color in my leaf. I can always adjust. What's nice about this is we're gonna do so many layers that there's plenty of time to kind of adjust your colors as you go along. And I'm gonna start with just kind of mixing these ones all together and see where I get. And once I get them all mixed, oh, sorry, you couldn't see any of that, sorry. Once I get them all mixed on my palette, do the same thing and put it on my paper or on a scrap somewhere, and then compare with the real thing. And I think it's reading a little cool, so I'm going to add a little more of my Pale Geranium Lake, which is kind of a nice warm red that leans toward yellow or orange. Stay away from those purpley ones. Yeah, that feels a little better. Still not quite. Maybe it's just Pale Geranium Lake that I'm using. Let's see what that looks like. Maybe I don't have to do any mixing after all. Yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna start with Pale Geranium Lake.
Nice.
Love when that happens.
It is often very perfect on the fall leaves.
Yeah. All right, so I do have a few places where I've got some veining that is this kind of greenish yellow color. And like we were talking about at the beginning, I'm gonna have to kind of avoid those a little bit. So Sam did a little resist. I'm gonna try to do just
Avoid.
some acrobatics here
Yeah,
with my red.
you're good at that.
And even if I don't get quite as thin as my vein, like quite as thin as I want, I'm at least getting close and I'm starting to map it out, and I can always adjust with my color pencil.
Oh, also, quite a few of these polychromos you can erase, which is a nice feature about them. You'll see, so you'll find that some of the colors erase a little easier than others, but nice. Helpful. Also, everybody, if you ever want us to zoom in, or if one of us has forgotten and our paper is off the camera, obviously, feel free to tell us that info. We get too focused on the leaf and forget to look up at the.
I know, I do that a lot.
Yeah.
Which brush are you using, Vern?
This is a number 2.
Okay.
And it's a like an Interlawn brush, I think is the one I got right here. Yeah.
I got it, Vern.
All right, I'm approaching an area where my red and my yellowish color meet. So I want to.
Oh my goodness, what are you gonna do about it?
What are they gonna do?
What are you gonna do?
The sharks and jets. Oh gosh, they're meeting. So what I'm gonna do is create a more watery mixture of my watercolor, so it's not quite as saturated. And then put a little bit of that down. Let's see. And keep track of where I'm at here. Put a little bit of this down and I can start to kind of blotch it a little bit, like make little dots, or like even come in with just water in some of these areas where they're really close together, and try to let them, or try to encourage them to maybe blend a little more. You see that?
I have a question, but this is hard. It's always hard to answer. Just is how wet is that paper? Um,
How wet is the paper?
or how wet did you make it? Yeah.
Um, let's see. I will show you in.
I could see from the dots that they're not spreading too much, so it's not overly wet.
So my paper is pretty much dry at this point. Like the yellow that I put down is pretty much dry. And then the red,
Okay.
let me see if I can get all of my tools in the camera here. The red, I'll get my brush really wet,
Uh-huh.
dab it a little bit on the side, mix it with my red. It looks pretty watery. It's pretty pink.
Yeah.
And then because it's like wet on dry or something, is that what I'm doing? That will help it spread a little bit. Ooh, I see some little dots over here too.
Yeah, but you're not working wet on wet necessarily anymore. You're just controlling the amount of water you have on your brush and the amount of pigment you have.
Yeah. Get you back in there. So I would say, Lucille, that it's pretty wet for this part. For this part where my colors are merging together, I let it be, it's mostly water with a little hint of red in it.
But it's wet from the paint or water
Yes.
you're putting on it.
Yes.
It's
Not-
not that there
Not
is
the paper itself. Yeah.
the paper itself. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. This is where I said I wanted a little highlight, so I'll get even lighter. I just dipped my brush back in the clean water and just let it be a little bit lighter there. It's still just kind of like a rough map at this point, nothing's really set in stone yet. And I can always adjust, like I said, with color pencil.
I'm gonna keep going a tiny bit with color pencil just because I'm having fun with it before I do my watercolor. Again, I could do it either way, so I'll show you a little bit of both ways, but I'm just gonna put a little bit of the shadow in some of the dark areas I see just for fun now. I'm just using the dark sepia in some places where I see it getting pretty dark. Then a little burnt sienna. I can blend that together, go right over it with the color pencil. Again, multiple layers, right? And I can just vary the pressure if I want this to be a little lighter or a little darker.
All right, on mine, I'm starting to notice a little color variation, like places where my red is a little different or where my green comes back in. And even though this is still kind of wet, I can continue to work on it, and the colors will sort of bleed together a little more. So I'm gonna go in, let me see if I can explain. So there's an area on my leaf where my red starts to feel a little more purple, kind of in this area. So I'm going to mix up something that's got a little more purple in it and come in here. And then along this right edge, I start to see some really sort of ruddy green, like right along the edge. So I'm going to get some of that mapped in as well. So I'm mixing up a red that's got a little more purpley in it. I'm gonna come in here. And I'm making kind of like little dabby strokes. And what that's gonna do is kind of hint at veining or texture. There are some veins that I've really mapped in, and there are other places that just sort of feel textured or that I'm not really ready to go that deep on yet. So I can just make kind of little dabby strokes. And I'm looking for all the places where my red is kind of tinted a little cooler, and I can get in there. And gosh, I have so much room to saturate, right? Like I thought I was getting enough red in there, and now, the more layers you add, the more saturated it gets. And the area I've left for my lighter veins is pretty large right now. It's a little too wide, but I'm gonna come in and clean that up with colored pencil as I go. It's just helping me kind of map things out and see it. There are some places where the red and the green really mix and make a beautiful color, and it's worth, layering those two colors on top of each other to get to where you want to get to. Anyone noticing their leaves kind of changing colors before their eyes?
Oh yeah, that's where this trick can come into, everybody. Just have a plastic tray with a damp paper towel. Can put your leaf on there. Sometimes I just have a little spritz bottle and spritz it every once in a while too. And when you take a break, or if you're going to work on it again tomorrow, if you put the whole thing in a plastic bag and put it in the fridge,
Yeah.
preserve it a little longer. Okay, I'm gonna go into watercolor now. And see. Let's see what just straight up cad lemon looks like. 2 yellow. Knock it down a little bit. Touch of orange or a little bit of ochre.
Vern, what color is that you're dabbing on?
Dark sepia with a little bit of burnt sienna in it.
Oh, okay.
I have these like sort of dark spots
Mm-hmm.
I leaf that I want to map in because, like I said, they sort of act as my home base. So I want to get those major things in there so I don't lose my way. as I
Yeah, I get it.
And even though I've got almost 3 layers of watercolor, I'm not anywhere close to the saturation that I'm going to need for this. But I think I'm going to switch to pencil soon. I can always come back with watercolor over top of the pencil to brighten my reds or get things a little more saturated. But I think I've got a good base here in watercolor and I can come in with colored pencil. So I'm going to let that dry and I'm going to go back to my other leaf that I started and get some watercolor down on that as well. Trying to see where some of my highlights would be on this one.
Hey, Vern, I have a random question for you.
Yeah.
So like with my leaf, my base sort of color is yellow or like ochre.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was like doing that big wash in the beginning, got a little out of hand on one side and kind of, you know how like a maple leaf will have the divots like that separate the lobes. I kind of covered one side a little bit, so now it's a little bit asymmetrical, but it's like yellow, so it really stains the paper and I can't lift it. I tried.
Yeah.
Would you just change the opposite side to make it symmetrical, or would you try to lift it more?
Oh, that's a great question.
It's not horrible if I change it to the other side, but like I'm definitely losing a little bit of the mapliness of the leaf. But
yeah. Are you talking
I don't
about
know.
like in one of these little creases?
Yeah. Like I'm holding it up here.
Hold
Like
on, let me find you.
there's these sides.
Oh yeah.
And the sides I kind of accidentally filled it in with yellow and I can't get it out. I mean, if I were to do a cast shadow behind it, it might cover some of it.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Shadowy side. I don't know. I'll send you a
think that's
picture maybe.
That's a great solution if that works. If that's where the cast shadow goes, that's exactly what I would do.
Yeah, I think it's pretty close to, yeah.
That's what I would do, yeah. Because yeah, once you start adjusting the shape, you're gonna, yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be like, oh, what did I do?
Yeah. I was just like, what is this coming through my watercolors or something on the page? And I went, oh my God, it's my pencil line. Shit.
Oh no.
Oh, I did it. Anyway. We'll take some creative license. It'll be fine.
Yeah. Not the end of the world. Gosh, the highlights on this one are so complicated. Okay. All right, I just want to show you guys again, even though it's so sloppy, but another thumbnail sketch that I made for my other leaf, right? Where I'm just sort of mapping in for myself where the major highlights and shadows are going to go. This is like my cheat sheet, right? So when I'm like, oh God, was there supposed to be a shadow or a highlight there? I can look over at my little drawing here and try to map it out, not lose any of them.
And I'm doing this one side at a time. And instead of just going clear water on the first layer, I'm using a wash of the lightest yellow that I see and putting it everywhere except where I'm going to leave a little highlights that'll come back and mess up at the end. And then I'm just, while that's still wet, trying to dab in the other colors that I see and let it run in. And if it's not wet enough, I'm using 2 brushes, one with the pigment and one with water, so I can dab and let it smooth out if it's getting too hard edges.
Is that cadmium yellow?
It's cad yellow with some cream, a touch of ochre, and a touch of orange in it.
Oh, yeah, it's nice.
So now on my bigger brush, I just have clean water. And on my smaller brush, while this is wet, I'm going to put some of the green in there. And I'm just noticing how, like, along that vein, it kind of, you know, smears out. So if I dab it, it can move out of just, instead of just making a line, if I dab it, it can spread a little bit nicer. But if I want a thinner line, then I can adjust the way I move my hand. And then if I want it to spread a little bit more, I can just add a little more water. And then while it's still wet, anywhere I want to adjust the color, like up in here, gets a little more pinky ochre-y. If I just grab a little bit of a reddish orange, just very lightly, dab that on top of that yellow, then it heads towards that right color. Just modify it a touch while it's still wet over there. And right here, I put a little bit of the burnt ochre color pencil right there to show that there's like a little drop off of a canyon right there in a fold.
Can you zoom in a little more on that?
Huh?
Can you zoom in a little more on what you were just
Sure.
pointing out?
I think it is subtle. I think I'll have to do it more.
Yeah.
Right there.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, so I had just taken the burnt ochre and put a little shadow on this side of it, so it comes up against the hill and then kind of drops off into the
Nice.
part you're going to ski down.
All right, I'm pulling out my Polychromos arsenal for this leaf here. Gonna get them all nice and sharp.
Sam, is that a gum tree leaf?
I don't even know. Is it?
I don't know, but it's beautiful colors.
It's nice, right?
Yeah.
It's either a sweet gum or it's a Japanese maple.
That was me, my guess. I thought it was a Japanese maple, but I've only ever seen those go really red, so I don't know.
I was thinking it was more a Japanese maple. Did you see the fruits? The fruits are are those spiky balls if it were a sweet gum.
Oh, I don't remember.
Or you'd see Samara's,
It's right outside my studio. I'll go further investigate when we take a break.
I snapped a picture of it with my picture this flower. It said it was a sweet gum.
Okay, great.
The leaves can be similar in shape.
Okay,
I would definitely check the fruit.
okay.
That's what I love about botanical art is you learn about the plants too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Normally, people can attest for me. Normally, I would know what the plant was.
I always get so like overzealous on these fall leaf compositions. I have to tell you guys, I have I think 5 pages of leaves like this, and every single one has at least one leaf that's only like this far.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I'm gonna do 5 of them. Like, get a little bit, it's a little much. Like as I'm doing this one, getting in the weeds here with the colored pencil, I'm like, this is gonna take all day. Like I don't have time to do 4 of these.
I know.
But what I'm doing now is I'm coming in with my polychromos, and the first thing I like to do with these is come right up to my serrated edges, and really start to get them crisped up, with this sharp colored pencil. And then once I get the line in, I can kind of pull the pigment in toward the leaf so that it goes, right up to the edge. And it doesn't look like a line, just looks like an edge. Right, so I'm getting a little more clarity along my leaf margins right now.
I think it always bears repeating too that if you haven't been doing watercolor recently or you're newer to it, it always dries a little lighter than you think. So you can be doing something and freaking out that you made put too much pigment on or something. But then often when it dries, you're very pleased with the results. So just know that you'll have a moment of stepping back and being like, oh, that looks better than I think.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. Especially at these initial stages.
All right, I'm also getting into some of these areas where I have the lighter veins. So take a look. I'm gonna come in and get as close as I can, right, with my pencil to really try to skinny that up so that it's like barely there.
Is that pale geranium lake you're using, Vern?
Yes.
Oh, got it. Thanks.
I find that the really important parts when you're doing something like this are, let me do it larger. If these are my veins and I'm trying to get the veins lighter and the area around them darker, the really important area is right in here, right where they meet each other, right? So, hold on, let me do that better. If these are my veins, this, you can't even see them, this yellow color, I'm gonna come in as close as I can in this little V. So like right in here, I want to get this little connection.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
So you're using the polychromos now instead of watercolor pencils, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
And then you can blend the both of them together.
You sure can. You can go back and forth between the watercolor and the polychromos. Probably, I don't know, several times.
Many times. Yeah, you just have to let it totally dry, your
Right.
watercolor dry before you go back with the color pencil or your rip your paper.
Ah, okay. Well, thank you.
Yeah. Some people like to have like, more than one going on so you can go back and forth.
You don't have to get every single vein in there.
Or
Just
do you?
for any of you perfectionists out there, try to get the major ones, and then there's some you can kind of suggest just by, creating texture with your pencil or, making those little dabs sometimes with watercolor can sometimes help you create that texture without really having to get, too granular about the veins. Okay, here's what I was talking about. Do you see right here how this little part kind of is like rounded? But this is where these veins meet. If I just get my really sharp pencil in here and try to pull that more into like a little point, I get a nicer looking vein, right? So really come into that little V area with your sharp pencil.
Another question. Can you see any of your pencil lines for the veins at this point?
No, not really. But I do have them kind of mapped in where I avoided some areas. Right? So I still see where they go, but I don't really see that pencil anymore. No.
Yeah, here you can see how that cream resisted right here.
Ooh, nice.
That's where I put that cream, and then I was able to just go over it with the watercolor, and that's where the cream stayed right there.
Nicely done. Remember, you guys, these veins are so skinny. They're skinnier than you even think they are. They're so skinny. Barely there.
So here again, right here, see how I have a light green on this brush now. Can go right over that cream color pencil and it just resists, so I don't have to worry about avoiding it.
Another question.
Yes.
So I'm curious as to the fact that you use watercolor pencils that you then make little puddles out of, which I get and I do, instead of using tube.
We were just talking about this before class, which is so funny.
Okay. Because I'm actually using a combo of all of it. I'm using some Daniel Smith paints along with the polychromos and along with the watercolor pencils. So I'm just curious as to when, personally, when do you use what?
Well, so the reason we began with these pencils is really because they match the Polychromos pencils. It's really for
I see.
ease of color mixing is really
Mm.
They act exactly like tube watercolors. You can absolutely use tube watercolors with this method. This was the reason we began using them is because you can get the same color in
Okay.
in pencil and watercolor pencil.
Okay, I get it.
So it really doesn't matter. It's really just for
Matching, huh?
color matching.
Yeah, I think that my watercolor pencils that you recommended, I only have 12. So maybe I need to think about getting a bigger set that goes with the bigger set of the other ones.
Well, or like
Yeah.
I said, if you've got pan watercolors,
Right.
you're fine. Like you just mix up
Mm-hmm.
what you need.
Yeah. Okay.
But I think, we like to be sort of accessible, especially for beginners trying this
Mhm.
out. I think
Okay.
one
Yeah.
of one of the things that helps that is a limited color palette
Certainly.
and that ease of saying, well, you know that permanent green olive is the color of that leaf, so therefore you can just grab that watercolor pencil and get going. That's really the only reason.
Okay, I get it. Well, thank you for that
Yeah.
explanation.
And I think over time, I mean, obviously, I started in this method,
Yeah.
I'm still trying to get beyond beginner stage, but when you work with and you have more polychromos pencils and more polychromos watercolors, you learn which of the greens is a blue green and which one is a
Yes.
yellow green, and what the earth green can be used for. So you get used,
Absolutely.
you learn in on these colors, using these colors, and get familiar with all the different reds. And then to switch to a pan color, and I have some Daniel Smith and some of the others. Then some of the names are the same, but um, you learn that the the hues or the pigments that are being used don't necessarily result in the color you might be, or for me, working always
Yeah.
with.
You're exactly right. And that's a good point about colors like earth green, or when you sort of have in your mind that, this color likes this color as a shadow color, right? So if something is
Yeah.
red, we like to use red violet as a shadow color, or if something is yellow and you want to use earth green. So it's sort of like helping you make those decisions faster, maybe if there's something that you're used to mixing.
Well, you know how those colors are going to play out, or what's
Yes.
color, and
Right. You kind of know what to expect when you put it
yeah,
down.
the names are not always, well, they're going to be, often the names are same from one watercolor set to another, but the way it works out may not be the same.
Right.
And, so there's a real stability in this, I guess I'm saying.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, and I will say the one time I do use these watercolor sticks right on the paper, the only time I do it is sometimes with leaves. I never do it any other time. And sometimes just like in my travel journal, if I rub some of the pigment on and then spread it out, can be kind of quick. But it can be nice to use your watercolor sticks right on your leaves, so go for it, try it out somewhere. Otherwise, we really never do, but it's good for fall leaves and mixed colors. Especially if there's like a little granulation or texture.
I have a question about using the watercolor pencils on the palette. You said you were um basically scribbling with them on a rougher palette versus like a watercolor palette.
Yeah.
What kind of palette is rough enough for that?
Yeah, Vernon, I have this one from Caran d'Ache. It's just a textured palette. You can also just use like a textured cutting board from the dollar store,
Oh, okay.
or you can use like a thick sheet of Duralar, you know, some kind of thick plastic.
Oh,
Any of
maybe
the
even like tracing paper, like a thick one.
tracing paper might be a little thin. This is really a thicker plastic.
Okay, I have
Yeah, it's called
Duralar matte.
Durabrite. Yeah,
Duralar matte will work.
Yeah,
Okay.
totally. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
All right. It is almost 10 till. This is a good time for a break for me. How about you, Vern? How about everybody?
Yeah, we
You
can
want-
take a little break, like 10-minute, come back at 5.
Yeah, just come back on the hour, everybody. And if anyone has any question right now before the break, we could answer it for you. Okay, great. Those almost look like you could be making them at some point into water droplets.
These little holes and stuff.
Yeah.
Mhm. This one is like filled in, but that one up there is a true hole. Okay, see you later, Mimi. Just watch the recording to get the rest of the info.
Thanks, Mimi. Okay, I think I'm gonna put my cast shadow in now. And then let that dry and then carry on. We'll see with either color pencil or watercolor. And I'll show you two different ways that we do this sometimes. One way would just be to use like a wash of a gray. So I'll use some of this warm gray 4. And just do a little tester that it's on the washier side. Start off light. And let's see, I can just kind of come off the edge. This guy. Here. A little bit to the right. Just the lighting. See a little bit of it. And here. Basically, our objective is to make it super light and not compete with your subject. So I'll show you this way with watercolor if you're being a little more bolder with it and you just want to go for it and try it, but I'll show you the more gentle, softer way as well. A little too much right there, but just an easy dab up with the paper towel, no problem. Can see a little bit of it under here too. Then while I still had these a little bit wet, I could just get a little bit darker right next to my subject and let it trail out as it gets further away. So I just pick up a little touch more pigment, dab in there, dab in the water and onto my paper towel if I want a little less pigment on my brush, and just let it fade out at the edges. You don't want it to have a hard shape. So let that dry. This is probably dry enough down here, but another way you can do it is with your color pencils. Or with a cool gray, very thin. So with the very thin, with the dark sepia, which is always the pencil that is hiding. There it is. Or with the gray.
Mine's always hiding because it's so tiny.
You know.
Always use the same.
And get these nice and sharp. And then, so even if I hadn't done this already with the watercolor, yeah, pretend that I hadn't already done this with the watercolor. And what I would do is with the very thin, and I hold it far back so that I can't push really hard. I'll hold it far back, and then here I'll zoom in. And then right where it comes off of the subject, I just do very soft, very, very soft toning. And bring it out. And then let it fade out as it gets farther out. So sometimes I like to do that with the very thin. It's easy to control if you're not used to watercolor. And then I'll take the dark sepia, super sharp, and then just right coming off the subject. And you don't want to leave a white line between the subject and the cast shadow. I just start again, very gently toning and easing out, and then just letting it very lightly fade off. And then going right up against the subject again. And getting darker right next to it. So it starts to lift off. Now I wanted to put my shadows in right now because I know as my leaf curls, I'm gonna have a different shape of the shadow. So I just gently put them in and then I'll work on them more later, but now I know where they are. So we'll do it.
I feel like I should do that too.
You know, but I wouldn't want to do it while this was wet because it could blend in there if I'm trying to do that with watercolor, right?
Yeah.
And then I'll come back and get fancier about them later. And then this would be the stage on my leaf. You know, Vern's continuing to saturate with her color pencil. So it's just, you know, artist choice. If you feel like continuing with watercolor, go for it. If you feel like going to color pencil now, use the color pencil because really you can get there either way. I'll play around with pencils for a bit. Usually what happens to me if I start fooling around with the color pencils, if I have too broad of an area to cover, I feel like it's going to take too long and I'll switch back to the paint. Or if it's just feeling more painterly and more washy, then that makes me go back to the paint. But I'll go with pencils for a moment.
I have a question. You know, once you get, you know, because I know once you get to a certain point, the leaves start to dry up and they curl and they're kind of, I wouldn't say useless, but they're not what you started with.
Yeah.
Do you ever press them and just keep them so you can look at them later?
Yeah, I do that sometimes.
Yeah, like if you're not going to be finished with it in time.
Yeah.
I think also take a photo. That's always helpful.
But also, while you're working, turn your light off when you're not using it. So you're
Yeah.
not baking your subject under your light. But, you know, that was a little heavy on the water, but a little spritz of water, wet paper towel,
That's what I find.
keeps you going for a while.
Like wet a paper towel and put it on a plate and it's
Yeah.
wet. And you
Yeah.
put that leaf on there and it's not as flat as pressing it. And it really keeps, and then as you say, at the end of the day, Sam, as you put the plate, the water, the paper towel and the leaf all in the fridge, you keep and you wet the towel from time to time and it keeps it a long time.
Yeah. All those little botanical artist tricks that you pick up. And so now as I'm using my pencil, I'm both thinking about color, but I'm also thinking about the form and the dimension of the leaf. Like this part of my leaf curls away from me. So I'm pulling off of that back edge with this pointed pencil, darkening the back edge a little bit, and then pulling my pencil into the broader surface of the leaf so that this edge being darkened will pull away from my eye. It's showing that it's moving back in space.
All right, I've done a lot with the colored pencil at this point, and now I'm gonna come in with watercolor on top to saturate some areas and like sort of quickly fill in some color. So like in my green area, I feel like I could get a little bit more saturation. So I'm mixing that color up again and just kind of going right on top of everything.
And the other thing that happens, everybody, is your leaf, whatever your subject is going to change colors as you're working. At some point in your mind, you just kind of have to commit to one stage. Do you know what I mean? Like if you kept changing the color as it changes, then you're going to draw the same leaf like 12 times in a different color. Some artists do that on purpose and have a very patient, dedicated practice. But at some point, you're just like, hey, that was green the first time I drew it. I'm going to leave it as green. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, if you're trying to chase it the whole time, you're just gonna get frustrated because it's not gonna.
You'll
Yeah.
be tired.
Yeah.
And always in our demos, Vern and I try to go a little faster than we normally would and just try to move along for you guys. But both of us have done leaves where we have spent many days on one leaf, I would say, right, Vern?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So you also, as the artist, just have to decide like how dedicated you're going to be to each little tiny thing, because obviously it takes a long time. So like Vern was saying, it's okay to skip some veins. It's really okay.
What brand of hot press paper do you guys like that'll take a lot of layers?
Definitely Arches. And I like Hanamuela and Waterford Saunders. Or is it Sanders Waterford? Sometimes I mix it up. But definitely people who like lots of layers, Arches or
Yeah,
Arch
something a
or
little
Sure.
little
Yeah.
stronger than the Stonehenge. If you like a
Yeah.
long.
Yeah, and even right now, as I'm working with the pencil, I'm like, oh, I'm getting a little too much pencil texture. But I know I can keep going in that even if I just put a layer of water or one layer of watercolor over that, it'll smooth it out. So I don't worry about it too much. Also, if you're working between like a yellow, a ochre, and a darker green range, this weird cad yellow lemon that looks like a neon pencil can be great for blending when you have kind of a brighter greeny yellow right next to a area of dark green. You can blend it all together with this and it works nicely. But this is the thing that beginners often don't understand is that it's easy with this method to change the color, like you're working in an area and you're like, oh, I kind of made that too orange. I want to push it back to yellow. Then you just go over it with your yellow and you yellow it up. And you're like, oh, I made that a little too yellow. Go over it with something else because they're translucent. You can see through. You build on top of each other. So you're blending and layering rather than trying to get the perfect color right next to the perfect color.
Yeah, a lot of room for adjustment.
Yeah. And fall leaves are very forgiving too. They have a lot of variations. No one's going to know if your color was a tiny bit to the left or the right in real life, right?
Yep.
I was just thinking that.
So,
Yeah, no one's gonna hold your real leaf right up next to your thing.
yeah.
Like,
And be
I
like,
don't know.
you got that one vein wrong. Yeah, so if you have any perfectionist tendencies in yourself, it's a good time. You can let it go.
I love how much the watercolor can help you saturate, like at this point. I don't know if you guys have been seeing this, but I felt like, with the colored pencil, I was like, I'm gonna be here all night trying to layer all of these colors to get it dark enough, and then just, a few passes with some watercolor and really just moves me right along. I'm like, all right, I can do this. No problem.
Yeah.
I find too that after I get some of those veins established, like those lighter veins, like once I get those going, it's easy to, even if you make a mistake and accidentally, go over one or get too close to one, it's still kind of there. Does that make sense? Like I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Say that one more time.
It's like the veins are still kind of there. Like even if you
Yeah, you go over a little bit, like kind of take a pass over it.
Yeah.
You're modifying it, but it's still there.
Yeah.
Sometimes we call that knocking it down. Like you can just go lightly over it. You'll still see it, but you've made it a little less obvious. Oh, I'm having the moment where I discover what pencils I didn't make it home from Hawaii with. Matter. I need a
Oh
matter.
no.
It might be in Katie's bag. Katie, can you just hand me the extra matter pencil?
Yeah, I'll have to take a look. Although it's hard to tell because whatever, so many of my pencils got eaten by the floor.
Oh,
at Holland Gold.
Wendy's
Oh
store.
my gosh, Katie, I know. I was just telling someone about that, about how many pencils must be under there.
It's like an entire set. You could just go into there and just scavenge it.
Absolutely, totally. At least one set.
Got one. Yeah, and then the pencils can also be a really nice moment can for some people be easier than the watercolor to just kind of clean up your edges. So right here up on this leaf margin, I did it loosely with the watercolor brush.
We
and now
zoom
we're-
in. Sorry.
zoom
Yeah.
And now with a pencil, I can just take it sharp and then go in and observe again and define that edge. And instead of making an outline, I can start with a light outline, but then I do that thing where I just come right off of the line and pull the color back in to the leaf so that I don't have like a cartoony outline. And I'll often pick, it's like in botanical drawing, you sometimes go darker than what you actually see. You go a little darker just to bump up the contrast to make a better looking, more dramatic drawing. So you're still drawing what you see, you're just making it a little more dramatic. And that it's just because you're trying to make a 3D illusion on a 2D piece of paper, and that helps with that.
I have another question.
Yeah.
So when let's say that you are pretty much finished with your dabbing and your penciling and your painting with whatever,
Yeah.
do you ever go over it with a light wash?
Absolutely. Like a light wash at the end to kind of seal everything in.
Yes.
Yes. That's a great idea. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, these pencils they don't rub off as much as some other pencils I've used, but they do a little bit. So I like doing that too. Seal with a little wash. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. Great question. Yeah. And if anyone wants us to take a look at where their work is right now, you could email it to, I'll write it in the chat. If you know how, you can drop it right into the slideshow, but if not, you can email it to info@drawbotanical.com and I can put it in the slideshow and we can look at where you're at right now. So if you want to do that, just let us know and I'll go get it and put it in the slideshow. Also, pale geranium lake.
You're without pale geranium lake? That's never good.
Here's a short one right here.
You said info at Draw Botanical?
Yeah.
I'm letting my watercolor dry. I'm going back to my other leaf to work a bit while my watercolor dries.
If you are drawing your stem or a petiole, you do want to apply the botanical drawing formula where you try to leave a little highlight as if it's a cylinder so that you get that little 3D illusion on there. So any way that you can leave a little highlight towards left of center if you're right-handed.
Oh, we can't see what you're doing.
Oh, I wasn't really doing it.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just talking about it. Okay.
Right, though, even if you can get just a dark shadow on one side, like you see here, I just have that little bit of shadow.
Yeah.
Helps it look round.
Okay, I'll stop and go get the stuff in the slideshow.
You're the best. I love being here with you, with all y'all.
Right back at you, Fernathon.
I've been looking at these leaves for a week, being like, wait till class. You're going to be able to draw them in class. Just do your other work and move on. You got time. And now we're here, finally here.
I like how you're both working on two different ones, like in two different ways at the same time.
Okay, good. We've been liking doing this lately, and we usually just say to y'all, if it's annoying and you want to just see one screen, let us know, but it seems to work pretty well.
Yeah, because one of you started one way and one started the other way.
Yeah.
And I honestly, I have painted and drawn nothing because I'm gonna do some later this week. But I've
Yeah.
been watching the whole time, both of you working like at the same time, and it's super interesting. I can't stop like watching how it
Good.
works.
Okay, good. Yeah, Leaf TV is pretty good.
Yes, it's awesome.
Yeah, and it's nice that we don't the videos don't expire. You can watch them whenever you want, take your time. Watch them again at double speed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is a good example. Like, see right here, this little V on my leaf. It's not actually darker on the actual leaf, but I'm just going to take a green in my range that's a little bit darker than that. And I'll do it with a bluey green or an olivey green. I'll do it with a bluey green. And I'm just going to make it a little darker in here. Like I was saying, just because it makes for a little bit more of an interesting drawing if I make that a little darker and kind of increase the drama. I like how Wendy would always say you're looking for opportunities for contrast when you're designing a good drawing.
Yeah.
Now watch, even here, can you guys see this? And then I'll go to the slideshow, I promise. It's so hard to stop. Since I really packed that ivory pencil in at the beginning, now look down here, I can go over it with this darker green and see how you can still see that lighter. Or is that not close enough? Like here.
Oh yeah, wow. That worked
can-
perfectly.
Yeah, I can go over it. It'll knock it down a little bit, but it's still there, which is nice. You don't have to fuss. Okay, I'll put it on just you for a bit, Vern, while I go do the slides.
Okay. I'm gonna do something crazy and put in some cast shadows with watercolor right now. They're up like under this fold. I just want to get them in there. All right, I'm gonna let that dry and come back to my red one. All right, I think it's time to start pressing a little harder with my red leaf. Really get that saturation happening. You guys see how I'm getting even skinnier with these veins? Like they started pretty thick, but the more I work, they're kind of like ghostly there. They're really skinny. So really try to keep them like they're there, but they're not there. Sometimes it's even like, I don't know, like drawing in between where the veins go or whatever works for you, but the skinnier they are, the more realistic they look.
Vern's a master saturator. Look at her go. But see how that all that texture on that leaf? The pencil does so well on putting that texture. You can't get that same texture with watercolor because it literally is building up oil texture on the paper, which is so cool.
Right.
Okay, there's a couple things in the slideshow whenever you're ready.
Okay, I can get it. Get on, get on. All right, Katie. So funny with the little emoji.
And that's a perfect example of when you do something like that. You can see that later on it's not going to matter because you put a little cast shadow back there.
Yeah.
And the other part just looks like a little more of a shadow and it's no big deal. So it's great to learn in your paper when to ignore a mistake and it'll turn into a happy accident in some way.
Well, I think it's true too. Like what seems like a lot with watercolor in the beginning, once you get that pencil next to it, like these, oops, sorry. Whoa, oh my gosh, didn't mean to do that. Hit a button. 1 second. How like once you added this edge, like you really hardly even see it. And once you get all this saturated, I think you're right. It's just a little cast shadow there and it's no one's even gonna notice.
No. And yeah, you're
like as you build up those, as you build it and build it and build it, what you put on at first, you're like, oh, I can barely even see that, like just water.
Yeah, I've gotten pretty good at lifting a little bit of watercolor off the page, like at various times for, just with practice lately. And then I was just like, oh no, it's yellow. Like yellow just will not come. There's no way. I was like, oh, okay, well, because I thought I could just close up the other side, but then it really starts to look kind of like more blobby and less like a maple leaf,
Yeah, exactly. I think it's better to preserve the shape
just
of
leave it alone and move on. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
What kind of paper are you using?
This is Arches, so.
I mean, I watched some magic at the Florley gym last year where Akiko made a whole leaf basically that she lifted the watercolor and it was gone and I don't understand it. But it might be possible.
I can try again later to get more off, but I was just like, I'm gonna wait and come back.
Wait till it. Yeah.
No, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
That little magic eraser trick sometimes can be incredible.
All right, I'll poke away at it.
Can you just add some white to that and paint over it, so to speak?
Not really, sadly. The white isn't really the white of the paper, and it sort of starts to look like an object, and you're like, what is that thing? It doesn't really look like the paper. There is this stuff that's like watercolor ground or something that is made to make other surfaces be like watercolor paper. That I suppose sometimes could maybe, if you were really worried about it, you could dab a little bit of that on there and it would look maybe like the paper. But it's always such a slippery slope trying to do stuff like that. This is looking great, Betty. Beautiful saturation. I mean, teach me how you do that because it's so saturated already. Love it.
Yeah, and just on your cast shadow, Betty, you don't want a line on the edge of it.
I did not understand the shadow thing.
Yeah, we'll do it again. So you just try to lift that off with your color pencil because you don't want a line or a shape on it. So we'll do it again to explain it better.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
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 Really great though. I think I would come in. Have you done pencil on it yet?
Yes, off and on.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm coming back and forth, and now I'm doing a darker red on the left of the main rib.
Yeah.
to make it look like that it's an open book, right?
Yeah, yeah. That's
Okay.
gonna look great. I also think as you're adding layers, I might kind of cool that red off a little bit.
Okay.
Put in a layer with something like madder, or I
Okay.
don't know if I'd go as far as red violet, but maybe a light washy wash of red violet, just
Okay.
to tone that down to kind of be more like this almost burgundy color.
Yes, burgundy. Yeah.
But this is looking great. And I think too, like I'll show this in a little bit on mine too, but at the very end, right, when you're done with most of your color and everything, you can put some of these little dots in.
Yes.
And
Uh-huh.
some of these little edges and stuff, and that's really going to bring it to life.
Yep.
Oh, one other thing. Let's look at let me get my little pen here. Let's look at this area. Oh, wow, that's thicker than I thought it would be. That area.
Yeah, the petiole comes out sort of at an odd angle.
It does, yeah. So let's see, how would we do that? So you do have it where, trying to find a color that we can see here. So it does connect up to this little, central part. So I might just give it like a little more of a curve right
Okay.
there,
All right.
so that it feels like it could connect to this point.
Yep. Okay. Mm-hmm.
So we don't want it to feel disconnected.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe
Okay.
just curve it just the slightest bit.
Okay. Yep.
Okay.
Got it. Thank you.
All right. Is that it? Anybody else?
That's it for now.
Okay.
Mm.
All right. I'm going to spotlight us again. All right, going in. Saturate like crazy. Kind of need to dull this down too.
Mm. I wanted to share with you a discovery I made with two maple leaves, a red maple leaf that was overlapped by a sugar maple leaf,
Okay.
and it was sun printing.
Wow.
Cool.
Oh
I
my
love
gosh.
that.
And so yeah, I'll somehow I'll share that with you. I painted it. And you think, did she do this right? But you can see that the top one, the top yellow leaf, which was sun printing the red maple leaf,
Yeah.
is obviously a sugar maple. And the
So
veination,
cool.
the veination is off to the left of the main vein of the red maple. Oh my gosh, it was so. I every fall now I am looking for sun printed leaves.
Cool.
So interesting. I never even thought about that. That's so cool.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I was noticing that on the apples this fall. Apples have that too. All right, so here is a very hastily, weirdly drawn leaf. Here is the cool gray, very thin, a dark sepia, and just a gray polychromos. So your leaf is your main actor and your cast shadow should be your supporting actor. So I hold it far back and I just very gently start toning. Build it up very slowly. And I don't want it to have a distinct shape or distinct edges. So I just try to make it really soft and fuzzy at first. And then over where the shadow meets the subject, I'll start pressing a little harder, making it a little more defined over there, but still really loosely fading out. So I do the opposite with the cast shadow that I do with the subject. The subject, I up the contrast. On the shadow, I do less. I make it more fuzzy and not as defined as it is, just so that it doesn't overtake the main actor's part in the play. So very soft. And then I come back in with a sharp dark sepia and right up next to it, then I'll just get very dark right near the subject and attempt to just softly gradate that out into that soft gray that I've already put there. And sometimes people over here will make a common error of leaving a little white line between the subject and the cast shadow, and you don't want to do that. So just kind of try to softly, and if you find that you're getting too much texture with the pencil, then you can even just take some plain water, like a damp brush, and you can soften some of that color pencil texture just with the water too.
So how about if your edge of your leaf is light instead of a red or a brown for casting the shadow?
Yeah, same thing. You do it the exact same way. Doesn't matter the color.
You still use the sepia to outline it?
Well, I'm not outlining. I'm just darkening a little bit because the shadow would be a little bit darker.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm not trying to make an outline. Does it look like an outline?
Oh, well, maybe from my little screen, I
If
thought.
it looks like an outline, then I have to take a little more time and make it not look like an outline.
Okay, I get it. Yes,
So,
thank you.
yeah. So good question. Yeah. So no outline, or like I said, you can just do it with a gray watercolor. Let's say that was going in the same direction. And then I would just dab in water so I have less pigment and let it fade out as it gets farther away. Or I could come back and right next to the body of it, make it a little darker and then let it fade out into there.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
And like, this is on a leaf. Like, let's say we were doing, some kind of fruit or something where you had a highlight. And you have your darker side of your sphere, you have your core shadow. If you're lighting it correctly with the botanical formula, if you've set your light up nicely, then your shadow will be going back and away from your subject. But instead of drawing, the actual shape of the circle that you see back there, you again just kind of let it trail off. So it gives you the suggestion, but you don't give it all the information. You let your brain fill in some of the details. Right? Rather than drawing like the whole oval that you would actually see. And then if you've ever done too much, that's a real easy time to just come in with the kneaded eraser and just soften it where you need to, or soften the edges a bit. And again, you could do that with the watercolor or with the color pencils, whichever way you're more comfortable or in the mood for that day. But just that final touch of really darkening it a little bit more right along the object makes a big difference.
I'm now going over a lot of my red with this green in places, like over some of the veining, as now that I've added so many layers, my veins that I left before feel a little too bright white, even though they're tinted from my first layers of watercolor. Come back in and just sort of give them a little, knock them down a little bit with some color, some green.
That's looking really good, Vern. And then here is the magic eraser that Vern was talking about. Esther kindly showed us this. So this little dental tool, the little hemostat where I can grab, just take a little piece of a magic eraser, fold it up, clamp it in there. Don't clamp my finger. Get it a little wet in some clean water. And then let's see what color will actually come off. Probably not the red, huh? But moving in one direction on the paper.
Yeah, and then you can swap out that piece of eraser. As soon as it gets pigment in it, you can swap it out.
Exactly. That was so much pigment it had. But the little magic eraser trick can take the pigment right up, and you just have to be careful because it can, especially on Stonehenge, it can rip the paper. But yeah, you keep changing the magic eraser as you need to, but magic eraser magic.
I'm kind of doing now what I was saying to Betty, where my color feels a little too warm or bright. And so I'm taking my red violet pencil and just kind of going over some of that red to pull it back toward, I don't know, like violet, or cool it off a little bit, make it darker. Like Sam said, you can continue to adjust your colors as you go, just by layering something on top.
Yeah, and see how Vern's does have some of that book fold feel to it, yeah?
Yeah, I left those highlights, where I had marked them on my cheat sheet. And it seems to be working.
What color is that, Vern? The darker one.
That was dark sepia.
Okay, thanks.
All right, I'm gonna work on my cast shadow a little bit too. I sort of have marked it in with some warm gray, but I want to zhuzh it a little bit with and make it darker right next to the subject. So you can see I already started. It's sort of like a little gray cloud next to this. Okay, Betty. Betty's leaving soon. But yeah, watch the recording and send us your drawings for Thursday.
Yeah, anybody leaving early, make sure you send us your drawings a couple hours before class on Thursdays. We can put it in the slideshow. And even if you think your drawing is terrible, just send it in anyway.
We all learn a little something from everybody's drawing. Okay, these are some of my favorite shadows. See this one on the stem? So like where it's close to the subject, it'll be a little darker, and then it kind of fades here because that part of the stem is lifted. And then as it starts to touch the paper again, it gets darker. See that illusion? And I can even push it further by taking my dark sepia, getting it in there at the beginning, right where it touches, and then right at the bottom where it touches again, just a little touch darker. That might have been a little too dark on the bottom, but. And then for the rest of my shadows, I'm gonna go in with that sepia right next to the leaf. But then it fades to gray pretty quickly. Wow, look at that. I'm looking at the screen. Holy cow, it looks real. Crazy.
It does.
It's crazy. Okay, I'm gonna call that one done for now. I'm gonna go to my other one.
Nice.
You sometimes have talked about fact that every drawing, and not just drawings, go through the ugly period.
Oh, yeah.
And that you have to persevere.
Yes.
Don't overcorrect. Tell me,
Yes.
I need the pep talk right now, you guys.
Yeah, we've trained you to give it to yourself, haven't we?
It's true though. I mean, it's like we were saying before, there's so much room for adjustment in this method that like you can't give up when you're at that ugly stage, because it really does, if you push through to that place where
Yeah.
you can start to press harder, you can start to get in those little details. You know what I mean? Like you just keep swimming.
Yeah, I think that, you know, when I get to the ugly period part, then I think I lose confidence in what I have been doing, but I've been doing the right stuff.
Yeah.
It's just at this stage, it's not going to look right. You have to, you know, right now it's my veins. They don't
Yeah.
look, but I haven't begun to work with pencil yet. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm giving myself the talk.
Good. Yeah, and there's so much to do, you know, and it's like you can only work on one thing at once. And if your brain is trying to do two things at once, where you're doing what you're doing and you're thinking about the other thing, then it's easy to get upset. And so can kind of be a good, um, you know, bring it back to present moment practice where you're like, oh, I'm doing this part. I promise you I'll get to that other part.
Yeah.
Um,
But
With-
I am enjoying this a lot. This is more painterly than some of
Yes.
the other things that we do. And probably this is the most painterly
yes,
thing
I
that
would
we
agree. Yeah.
yeah.
it really is.
And it just has a lot of fun because there's some leeway there and you're using different techniques, and so I am enjoying it.
Good.
Yeah, try to be a little looser with it and don't don't give up, because there is a lot of room to go. Like there's a lot of layers to go.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, and sometimes I think of it as sometimes I feel like there's some homework phases of it where I'm doing some of the underdrawing that kind of takes a long time. And there's parts, you know, that I get more interested in than other parts. And sometimes just say, oh, you're just doing a little homework because when you get to the next phase, it'll really pay off.
Yeah, I think that also sometimes it helps me to just sort of like find another place to focus on in the drawing, or like find a thing to get me excited again, you know, when I'm like, oh, this is terrible. Then I can be like, okay, hold on though, like pick up your green and just kind of like focus on one part, and next thing you know, you're back in it, you know, you're going further than you thought you could.
Yeah.
The other aspect of this is working for 4 hours.
Yes.
It's really good to, you know, have 2 leaves going at once because
Yeah, I know. I kind of wish I had to.
yeah, because you kind of overdo it. But
Exactly.
then I think of the workshop in Kauai where we work a whole day.
Yeah.
And you learn to switch back and forth, take breaks, get up, walk around, look at things in the distance.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely take breaks. Definitely take breaks. I also like to, when I feel stuck on a drawing, take a photograph of it with my phone, because for whatever reason, looking at it through that lens, I don't know, helps me helps me be like, oh, well, clearly I should work on that part because that's not looking right. You know, something about seeing it through that other lens, can help me get going again. I also use those little touchstone places like I was talking about in the beginning, like little marks or little things that stand out to you as, you know, a place to kind of like drop your pencil into. You know, go back to one of those and be like, okay, if I just start here, you know, next thing you know, you're working outward and you're going again. This one I'm being a little looser. I want to show you guys this too. I'm not drawing all the veins here. Like I have a lot of little veins in there. Can you see that? I'm trying to just kind of stroke my pencil in the direction that the veins are going and not get too caught up on each one, but kind of just let my pencil follow my eyeballs,
Yeah.
look at which way the veins are going, and just kind of hint at it and not get too crazy about it.
Good plan, good plan. And if any of you are pretty far along on your leaf and wondering what to do, if you're close to the end, it's good to stand up, look at your drawing, look at it from a little bit farther away, and then ask yourself if there's anywhere where you have the chance to put some more darks in. Is there any little bits that you can make darker? Because it will make your drawing better.
Oh, whoops, I'm way zoomed in. Sorry about that.
Yeah, and if anyone wants to do another one between now and Thursday, that's great, of course. Do as much as you have time for this week.
I'm not, I have a leaf with a very golden, yellow base. And I thought dark, Naples ochre get it, but in a way, it's more mustardy gold. Any suggestions how I could get dark Naples ochre to be, I don't know, more, maybe it's a
Golden.
touch of orange to make it a deeper gold?
If you have some violet, it might take it a little bit down if you're looking for more of a shadow.
Say that again, what was it?
Sometimes if you can mute yellows and golds with violet,
Oh, right, okay.
a little bit of that.
Sometimes, Lucio, sometimes a little burnt sienna.
Yeah, that too. It's
I
got
would say a little brown might help.
Yeah, a burnt sienna has a brown red to it that's goes well with a Naples yellow.
It's on my, it's out on the desk, but not in my watercolor, so I gotta get that. Thank you, that's really helpful. A little bit, you could either do a bit of violet, as you said.
Yeah. Or if you call it a red violet or whatever you have it in a, whatever you
Yeah,
have in a.
or a little burnt sienna. I'll try both. Thanks. Thanks a bunch.
Oh.
I'm just doing another little pass of watercolor over this. I feel like it's done, but remember we were talking too about kind of setting everything in, and I don't know, I just felt like it needed a little more punch of red. So I'm just putting a little more red in with watercolor right on top.
Stand up and look at mine.
Oh, it's looking so good.
Like a leaf.
It's like a leaf. That stem is great. The little petiole. Love it.
We still have quite a bit of time. If anybody wants to send their drawing in, feel free.
Okay, you know what I want to do?
What?
I want to get in this stuff. These little skeleton veins.
Ooh, nice, Fern.
How am I gonna do it? I guess I'm gonna use a very thin.
Or your tiny brush.
Oh my gosh, tiny brush. Can I do it?
Try it with very thin first.
My whole leaf is like that, Vern.
Oh yeah?
It looks like a city map of Paris.
Oh my God.
Do you
The
want to show
whole
us?
leaf? Esther, how are you doing it?
Very, well, I'm just doing a sample right now to figure out what my technique's gonna be.
Yeah, me too, except I'm doing it right on the thing.
Yours is black and white. Mine's got, actually, I mean, really, the whole leaf looks like that.
Cool.
Amazing.
I'm not doing it that detailed, but
Fern, it's Carmen. How are you?
Carmen?
Yes.
Hi, Carmen.
Hi. Is it the very thing like just so hard to erase afterwards? Like you can't make a mistake with it? The dark ones anyway.
Here, I'll tell you right now. Let's see. Yeah, it doesn't erase as easily as the polychromos for sure.
Yeah, it's wax.
I never really quite understood the point of it. Is it just to like, well, no pun intended, since we have to have our pencils sharpened. But is it just to like crisp up the edges, just like here and there ever so lightly?
Yeah, it's for really thin lines. Really
Yeah,
thin lines and yeah, edges for sure. But it's
it holds
wax
fine.
based, so it's sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say it holds a fine point more, like the polychromos softens really quickly and that one kind of keeps a sharp point.
Oh, and is that because of the waxiness that you mentioned?
Yeah.
I
And
see.
because it's very thin.
Well,
But I'm
exactly. Thanks, Esther.
What would we do without Esther? Right. Many colors and very thin.
It's not easy.
You could pick out the main sections first and then fill in the little sections, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I can do that in this bigger part, but that
Yeah.
one.
It's gonna be really cool looking though. Oh, I have one of those, a whole leaf unfinished in my drawer. Maybe I'll dig it out before Thursday, work on it more. Those of you who know Joan Lutzny, when I got off of the plane in Lihue, there was a whole display about cacao and two of Joan's beautiful drawings
Oh, nice.
in the airport. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
He often does very large scale dra- drawings, paintings. Were they large scale?
They were like, one of them was maybe like 16 by 22-ish. So yeah, bigger.
Uh-huh.
Wait, are you there now?
No, we Kobe and I and Katie went and did a volunteer week teaching local youth up at Limahuli.
Oh yeah, that's
First
right.
shot. It was the 6th through the 10th. Went really well. The email about it is going out tonight. So
The photos are wonderful.
okay, good. Yeah, I'll send some more tonight. And I wrote a little wrap up email, so I'll send it to you guys later.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Well, some days Vern and I are more talkative. Some days we get really sucked into a leaf and just really get coloring. So just feel free to
Yeah, ask
if
questions.
if we get sucked into our leaves, just feel free to ask if you need anything, or if you're happily working along, no worries.
Well, we love to hear what's going through your mind when you try to do the various things.
Okay.
My mind is saying this doesn't really look right, but I'm gonna keep going.
It looks right. You're doing well.
You know, what I find about the very thins is I do feel like I can't get the same variation in pressure as
No,
with
you can't.
polychromos. So there, I might go in and like darken some of the lines with one of my polychromos.
When I did those little tiny veins on that Mamaki, I did it all with the tiny brush because it was the only way I could get it like crisp and dark enough
Yeah.
and tiny enough.
Verna, I think it looks dark enough. You need gray in the center and leaving a little white spot in the center.
Right.
Yeah. It looks darker on the screen than it does
Oh,
on the paper.
yeah. Okay.
But when you pull back too, because you're probably up at really close vision range right now.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say to Lucille. What I'm doing now is trying to sit up straight and look at my drawing from further back and look at it from not so close up, and then just go around and make any adjustments I see in kind of hue or tone, darkness, lightness.
Ooh, yeah, tiny brush is fun.
Right?
Yeah.
Definitely very hard to talk and use tiny brush at the same time.
Yes. Agree.
Yeah, and like Vern was saying before, you can take a color pencil and color over the whole thing, and it's not going to cover up what's underneath there. You're still going to see it. You can just modify the color or the darkness or the texture of it.
Yeah, I do feel like for something like this, it is important to have two levels of thickness or something, right? Like what am I trying to say? Blip. Yeah, to have two levels of something, so it's not all the same, very thin. Like having a few things a little darker and like getting some of those, I don't know. Tough to do with just one pencil.
Mhm.
I think if I did this again, I would just use the tiny brush. You're right.
What? Who was right?
Sam's always right.
That's kind of you because definitely Paige is always right. So it's nice to be right every once in a while.
Well, tell Paige I said so.
That's just the Mamaki talking. That's just hours of Mamaki.
What's working for you, Esther?
All right, I'm gonna nerd out a touch more on mine and do a little wax paper lifting on this one section just cause.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that'll be great. Oops.
Very tiny, you can barely see it.
I'm adding in some of these little like dark spots that I see, like we were talking about to Betty, maybe in the slideshow, about how well, I said toward the end, and I'm not toward the end, but I'm doing it anyway, but adding these little dark spots every now and then, or
Yeah,
place where you see a little shadow. Like
yeah,
I'm
places where she can go darker.
going in with my dark sepia and just going for it.
And I'm gonna take this earth green and on this whole right side. I'm just gonna go over, I'm gonna make this a little darker because it kind of goes up here and down on this other side. So I'm just gonna knock down this right side a little bit.
I want to say too that when I said like do this at the end, but I'm doing it anyway, I kind of am thinking about what you said, Lucille, and I'm at that point in the drawing room like, oh no, this is looking bad. And I'm like, no, you know what? I'm gonna pick a thing that I want to do and just get it in there, and this is what I want to do, and so I'm just gonna do it. Just try to bring it to life a little bit so I can get more excited about it and keep going.
And we can tell that it looks good. I'm gonna stop, otherwise I think I'm gonna mess mine up.
Coming to the home stretch. Ask us your questions now.
Hey there, could you remind me what's the best way to get my drawing to you?
Yes.
Yep.
You can either email it to us at info@drawbotanical.com and put something in the subject like leaf class or something like that. Or you can go right into our slideshow if you're familiar with Google Slides, which I think I put in the chat at the beginning. I can do it again.
I can do it right now.
So you can either just put it right into the slideshow, or you can send us an email and we'll put it in the slideshow for you.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, and send a picture of your leaf too.
Anybody have a curly leaf, like one that's curling up?
I just sent you something, Sam.
Oh, you sent something in?
Yeah,
Okay, great. We'll go get it.
it's a study page for color and technique.
Okay. All right, Fern, ready to share slideshow?
Okay.
Looking good. Yeah, see how that buildup of texture, it just does so well for the leaves with that pencil. Love it.
Ooh, nice.
Same leaf, horizontal and vertical. Take your pick. This is Nathan.
Wow, this is looking great. I love the little tip. Look at that little fold. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful color blending. And look, you got how it comes light off from the petiole and then transitions into dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, how did it feel, Nathan, using the combination of the watercolor and the colored pencil?
It's awesome.
Yeah. It's fun,
Your
right? To have the
name was
option.
great.
It's the way to go.
Cool.
I've never done it before this class, but this is This is great.
Good, I'm
Okay.
glad you like
Really
it.
nice. Like, look at these subtle veins on
Yeah.
the leaf. Oh, so pretty.
Yeah, and the way the tip folds back too, and the way you observe that color changing up there, and how it gets dark underneath that fold, like you're still in the color range, but you darken it up as it goes up before it bends back.
Yeah.
Really nice.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Gorgeous.
Thank you.
looking leaf.
Wow. You guys. Oh, what's this?
This
Hold
is
on.
Esther's study page.
I don't have any writing on it yet. I'm doing the writing right now.
Hang on, am I not seeing the whole thing?
No, it's just
Yeah,
the,
you're just seeing
Oh,
a
okay.
corner where I was working on
Sorry.
color and technique.
yeah,
Got it. Wow, cool.
yeah.
This is the leaf, and the color isn't.
Yeah.
It's
Right, it's one
brighter.
of those, it's kind of leathery, woody.
Right,
Yeah,
right. It very dried up, and I think I'm gonna settle on using the cream color or maybe an ivory pencil to put in the large veins,
okay.
and then color wash with ochre,
Yeah,
yellow ochre, and then I'm using a lot of quinacridone rust
mm,
and burnt umber, and a little bit of the yellow also as a
nice.
mix. And then I'm gonna do layers to get my lights and darks, and then go back in with a pencil and do small little circles
Yeah.
to create the little pockets.
Yeah. It's a beautiful complex brown. You know what I mean? Like, it's such a nice
browns. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think in some of it, in your range of like yellows, browns, tans, you need like a little ultramarine or a little purple blended in? Because don't those leaves sometimes go a little more like away from a glowy rust towards more like a muted,
They do.
you know?
They do, and there's some folds that
Yeah.
aren't shown on this little sample where it gets very dull.
Yeah.
Okay, so wait, ultramarine?
Like, I think so, a little ultramarine or a little purple. Experiment with both of those
Okay,
and
great.
see what you get. when
Right,
they do
like
it.
just for little parts of it.
Yeah, because I didn't want to just use dull brown.
Yeah.
And so that would give it some life and transparency. That's great. Ultramarine, maybe even red violet.
Yeah.
I love
Something that just pushes it a little more. Yeah, dumbs it down.
I love the dark edge.
Yeah,
Right? Like how it kind of folds at the edge.
it does. In some places, yeah. Well, again, I was just experimenting with,
Yeah.
you know, how to blend and how to get the little city map in there without really getting the city map in there.
I know, I know. I think you're right though, just the little circles with the pencil, you know, on top of all, like you get the main ones in. And then
But also there's some areas where I just made marks with the ivory, and they last a long time. You can do lots of watercolor over them, and then you come back with a pencil and they still pop up.
amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
So
Looks
I'll pay
really
more
nice
attention to that when we do it.
burnished.
Ooh, look at Katie go. I can't even
Nice.
see that watercolor anymore.
No.
Hardly.
Yeah, this is going to be stunning because you're really taking the time with it.
So pretty. Yeah, look at the little texture, like the little veins that you're just able to get by. Oh, I don't know. I don't know
Are you
how-
doing that just by dabbing and avoiding them, Katie?
I'm kind of just, I did some, and then I'm just kind of coming in and doing like those spots, like with a pencil now.
Yeah.
And
looking
because like
great.
even in the leaf, it doesn't always follow like a super fine vein pattern. It almost just looks like a mosaic, right? So I'm not
Totally.
getting too bent out of shape about whether or not it's following a vein pattern, because it's hard to even tell in the leaf. Like it's just these old checker marks of the brown and the yellow. So that's kind of
Yeah, I think it's working
working it
great. Like
in.
up here.
Yeah, it's like a leopard print almost. I'm just kind of yeah, it's going good. It's
Yeah,
a
I think
huge
as you go, make sure you're skinnying up the veins, especially right at the edge.
yeah. I'm leaving them a little bit, and I'll come in and
Yeah.
bring them in a little bit more as I get close. It's this is like a 9x12 piece of paper.
Wow.
This leaf
Oh,
was
wow.
huge, and I just like basically traced it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, this was a mistake. But it's so it's just gonna take a while.
Yeah.
I'll be finishing off a photo, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Way to go for it.
Yeah.
I love how the green is like in the skeleton in the middle and just fades away.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Oh,
All right. Excellent work, everybody. Here we are at the end. Those of you who made it through our 4 hours of leaf drawing, well done.
Yeah, way to go.
Way to persevere, even when it wanted to make you quit at certain times.
Power through the ugly phase.
Yeah.
Now that we made it this far, we don't know how to stop.
That's right. That's yeah. Just now you just stay in there until you have to eat something.
Remember, take a photo of your leaf, put it in between wet paper towels, put it in the fridge, try to keep it alive as long as you can.
Yeah. Oh wait, did Amy put hers in the chat? Maybe we can look at it. Oh yeah, it's one of those HEIC. Amy, you want to email it to us real quick, or you could send it as a JPEG and then I can open it.
I did send an email. Sorry.
Oh, you did? Okay, I'll go look.
Yeah.
Or Vern, if you're faster than
I
me.
got it.
You got it? Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah, that's looking pretty.
Beautiful. Using that nice earth green to go with the pale yellow. That's perfect. Just like a grayish green. Build it up slowly. Like, yeah, when you have a really pale one, it's like I just keep looking for those lighter pale colors and work lighter to darker rather than dark to light if you have a pale leaf. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Beautiful.
think too, like you're starting to get, I don't know if this is where the highlight is, but you're starting to build what looks like a really nice kind of like pillow right here.
Yeah. That's where it bulges out. So
Yeah, that's looking really cool. Oh, this is gonna look awesome. I think once you come in with your pencils and stuff, you may want, well, I don't know what your leaf looks like, but you may want burnt sienna or something to kind of give you some darker if it, shadows near your veins or any little details like that.
I started in with burnt sienna and actually I'm wrong, raw umber. And I was losing, there's so much very discreet green underneath it all that I decided to start shading in green. And then after that, come back in to add some contrast on top of that with the black.
Like that.
Yeah, just to sort of get the shape and the valleys and stuff like that, and then add contrast.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Yeah, try to preserve that green as much as you can. I think
Yeah.
that's smart.
Yeah, unfortunately, here in New York, it was hard because we don't have a lot of color yet. So
Yeah.
I was really disappointed that all of our ginkgos are still green. But
Oh, really?
yeah,
Wow.
they're all still green. I did get a couple, but barely any of them have the yellow, which was what I was hoping for. But anyway, I'll keep going with this and
Awesome.
see
It looks great.
Yeah, thank you.
Good.
Love the shape of it too. Leaves are so
Alright.
pretty.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
are. Great.
Yeah, so thanks
All
for
right.
painting together. send us in whatever you want us to look at for Thursday. Send a photo of the leaf too, if you can. Hope you get some drawing time between now and then.
Yeah. This was so nice. This felt like sitting and being sort of in community with friends in a way. And I mean, there's a lot of
Yes.
stuff going on. Yesterday was a particularly noisy day for me. So, this felt very convivial, I felt great
Oh,
about it.
that's so nice. Yeah, we like that too. Just, we're drawn together. We're here for each other and just
Yeah.
we're gonna get through it.
Yeah, it felt really good. This was probably some of the nicest 4 hours I've had in a long time. So thank you so much.
Oh,
so
thank you
glad.
so much for coming, all of you. It's so nice to see you again, and we'll
Yeah.
see you on Thursday.
Well, yeah,
Thursday and then come to more. Yeah, it weirdly works, this thing, to feel like we're drawing together on Zoom. So yeah.
It's good. Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right, thanks
All right,
everybody.
y'all. See you
Bye-bye.
Thursday.
Bye.